Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So this is the Oprah Winfrey interview with Michael Jackson. And for me to go through and pick this apart, I have way too much knowledge, and everything that I do for me to explain what I see and stuff, it's just massive and stuff. And like this thing, it's like, Jesus, I could talk all day in explaining what I see in a video like this and stuff. So I kind of have to I try and go just little pieces at a time and try and explain part of it. So here, let me play this part.
Again, do not read the tabloids, please. It's crazy. Do you go out? Do you date? Yes.
Sure. Okay, so when she says, do you go out, do you date? She's obviously implying, do you actually date women? Like, do you go out in actual real dates? Like real dates, okay?
Who do you date? Well, right now it's Brooke Shields.
Okay, so, right now it's Brooke Shields. So this is 1993. He had been saying, they were going out with Brooke Shields, like hanging out with her for years. And so I know they're obviously friends and stuff, right? They're real friends. They're not dating like a sexual relationship. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And for him to keep invoking her name means that they must have an understanding. And I would think that the understanding that they had of that is that he would never say that he had sex with her, as simple as that, and then he could use her name whatsoever because she understood that Michael Jackson, a big star, to ever invoke her name as being some form of a good-looking woman, a friend, whatever it is, that's always beneficial to her career because she's in the movie and in the movie industry and the entertainment business. So she understands those basic little things, and that's why she allowed him. Because it must have been because she allowed him to keep using her name. This is 1993. It's ridiculous, and that's what I'm saying. So the transition of him saying, "Oh, don't listen to the tabloids. Oh, they're crazy, but then right there, then what does he do? It's like, well, if you're going to talk like this, Michael Jackson, then why wouldn't we listen to the tabloids? Because what is the difference? What's the difference? At least the tabloids probably even say on it for entertainment, they probably say something like that. You're sitting here saying, this is the truth. Believe me, don't believe them. And that puts them in a reality of credible and being quality. They're way above Michael Jackson. Now let me show you this is the Brooke Shields stuff. So this Brooke Shields interview, just like that Oprah one, I would think if any of you people want to have any real understanding of Michael Jackson, you should understand Brooke Shields' relationship. You should understand who Brooke Shields is, why she's in Michael Jackson's life, the life that she lived, and all this stuff. She's important. There's this incredible interview here on the Jim and Sam show with Brooke Shields. And it's the same thing with the Michael and the Oprah. I could go through this interview and just over and over, there's so much. But the difference, she now has lived that life. She's come through it. Now she's like a mother and all this stuff. And now she can tell you about her past because she's been through all of it. And she's just blabbing it out as best as she can. There's no filter. Not with like what you're getting with Michael Jackson. It's the complete opposite. Michael Jackson's all filter, trying to deceive you, trying to lead to form the thoughts of what he wants you to think about him in his head. That's really improper and wrong.
You talked about it when you were 22 and you lost your virginity to Dean Cain.
Superman.
Who since reading this is my new idol. But you said I heard earlier if you had better self-image. What do you...
I think that, so in my case with regards to that, it was another tidbit that my mother decided I should put in a book because there's no ramifications of putting in a book that you're a virgin. That'll never come back to haunt you at all.
The thing about books is they don't last.
Yeah, they don't last. People don't read.
No.
So I was so disconnected from that piece of myself, and yet I was confused because on the one hand I was sort of America's sweetheart, virgin forever, and that was my responsibility as like a Catholic and as America's sweetheart, and then you've got the real just version of me and not really knowing how to reconcile that, and then sort of this whole body thing. It's like, if I'm Brooke Shields, I should probably look better. That there's that weird kind of, he was we were together forever, and he was the most patient human I've probably ever met.
How long did you date him before it happened?
2 years.
That's patience.
That's patience.
That's patience.
That's
But
Brooke
I
Shields
mean, we
patience.
were-
Anyone else got 3 days with you?
It's hilarious. This interview is so good. I don't even want to stop. I don't want to cut in because I just I enjoy so much this interview. I really enjoy. I would just recommend this so much. This is one of those things that it's like you should go to the Jim and Sam show, and this is the Brooke Shields. The actual name it says Brooke Shields losing virginity, Michael Jackson relationship, Joe Jackson fame, modeling, all that stuff. And so her life really represents. There's a real similarity of Michael because she was really with her mother put her right to work as soon as she was young. Like she was saying in this interview that she did a diapers commercial when she was 11 months old, and she's like, yeah, I came out of the womb and I was instantly like, I need to do some diaper commercials. She just cracked it up. Like obviously her mother was doing that, controlling her whole life, everything. Her mother is just major thing, and that's a big thing with the Joe Jackson. But see, then the Joe Jackson turn with the Michael that he ends up not being the father. Michael turns a crazy turn and everything is crazy. So with her though, there's so much. Okay, so she's talked about she's dating Dean Cain for 2 years, and Dean Cain was a guy on television, played a Superman role. He's a good looking guy, studly guy. They're all laughing because they're all Dean Cain, they're all laughing because they're all Dean Cain waited 2 years for you. They're laughing. That's so funny. And they're like, yeah, only for Brooke Shields, because she's laughing too. They all know she's laughing. She's like, yeah, I can't believe I made him wait 2 years. It's hilarious because it's the real world. That's how the real world. That's why when Michael Jackson's talking about virgin and all this stuff, and it's just like, that's not even real world talk. This is how real world. Everybody's laughing. It's so obvious. It's just hilarious. And so she made Dean Cain wait 2 years to have sex with. So she was dating Dean Cain. There's a real relationship. You won't ever hear her speak like that about Michael Jackson. They're friends and they hung out and they used to do things like that. It's not the same way. But Michael Jackson still in 1993, when he's saying, don't believe the tabloids, believe me. The actual other part of this I wanted to point out, she was talking about, she wrote the book and she said she was a virgin, and now the world knew she was a virgin. And once she went to have the sex with Dean Cain, she's like, oh no, do I have to write another book? Do I got to tell the whole world I'm not a virgin now? It's like the realities of having to deal with that kind of stuff. And that's the same thing Michael Jackson would have been dealing with. And then what she's talking about, the body dysmorphia thing too, because she was saying she was a actress, but she wasn't like a model. She was getting commercials and stuff and stuff like that, but she wasn't getting a model. And she's like, what, am I not really like good looking? Am I not, I'm America's sweetheart, but am I not good looking enough and stuff? And so that's what Michael Jackson would have been doing with all that stuff too. I'm Michael Jackson. I'm supposed to look better. I'm supposed to be like this. All of that stuff, right? This interview is just phenomenally incredible. That's why I love this interview with Brooke Shields. It so much relates to, and that's why Michael, when he's still in this time invoking her name, boy, you need to have some respect for Brooke Shields for allowing him to do that, because there is no dating there. They were just friends. There's no real relationship.
Well, we try not to just be everywhere and go. It's mostly at home. She'll come over. I'll go to her house because I don't like going out in the public. Have you ever?
Yeah. But she had asked him, "Do you go out? Do you date?" And then so he says, "Yeah, Brooke Shields." But then he says, "Oh no, we kind of just hang out. They're friends. They hang out like friends. That's what they do. We sit at the house. We just hang out. They're not dating." And so then he turned it. He said, so he couldn't even answer. The one person, "Yeah, I go out." And then he says, "Well, Brooke Shields." But then he says, "Oh no, we don't really go out. We just hang out at the house." He couldn't even name a person he goes out with because he doesn't. He was a virgin the whole time.
Been in love? Yeah. With Brooke Shields? Yes, and another girl.
Okay, with Brooke Shields, he was in love with Brooke Shields? Oh, no. They were friends. And so that's what I'm saying. The fact that Brooke allowed him to keep using her name, this is in 1993 and stuff. It's like, geez, And the fact that way in this time, this is one of the things I want to show you how damaged Michael is, because he's bashing the media and all this stuff, but then look at how he talks. He's way worse than them. He's all lies and lies. And then so that's why he has to be careful doing interviews, and he has to be careful who he speaks to, because when they start asking him questions, he has to look stupid as hell. You can't, it's hard to cover up that stuff, and he doesn't want to lie.
And another girl? I'm going to ask you this, and it's embarrassing for me to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are you a virgin?
The fact that she would ask him at this time, in this point of his life, after she had said about dating, and then the thing is, his answer was so BS, it was so bogus, totally bogus, the Brooke Shields stuff, that Oprah instantly had to say, well, geez, that's your answer. I asked you about dating and women, and you're still giving me this Brooke Shields stuff. So what does Oprah go into right after that? Because the signs of it are blatantly obvious. Are you a freaking virgin? Are you a virgin, dude? What is wrong with you? And that it is. There's no doubt. And look at his response. The virgin.
How could you?
He's a virgin. There is no doubt about it.
I want to know. I'm a gentleman.
No.
You're a gentleman.
He's a virgin. It's the word, the proper word, virgin.
Okay. I would interpret that to mean.
There's no interpreting. He's a
you
virgin.
believe that a lady is a lady, and therefore it's something that's private. I mean, shouldn't be spoken about openly.
Yeah, it's private. We don't need to hear about the details of what's going on in your sex life. But at this time in your life, you can't simply say, "Oh, of course, Oprah. Of course, I'm not a virgin. I'm a rock star." You can't just simply say something like that. Come on. Or if he was proud of being a virgin, if he's trying to live like Christ, why not express it? But he can't, because it's the Diana Ross thing. Anywhere where it leads, it's the damage through that. And then watch where it keeps going here.
You can call me old-fashioned if you want, but, to me that's very personal. So you're not going to answer it? I'm embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed. He's embarrassed.
So you're not going to answer it?
You're not going to answer. It's right there. You're not going to answer that. I asked you a direct question. That's what I'm saying. She asked him a direct question. Simple. For an adult, it's extremely simple for an adult should be able just to answer. He doesn't have to answer the details. Just simple. Oh, come on. Of course, yes, I'm not a virgin. That's all he had to do. And we'd move right. And you won't even answer that question. A direct, simple question. What kind of man are you?
We would like to know whether or not there is a possibility that you are going to marry one day and have children. I would feel that my life is incomplete if I do not, because I adore the family life. I adore children, and I adore that whole thing.
So that's a real honest. You could tell right there. He really felt that honest, but it's hard to know. You don't see him having the desire for women there. There's not the sexual desire part of it. It's not the thing about. I've heard him in other things where he does want a relationship. He wants to experience it, but you could tell still here he hasn't. He doesn't know what that actually is, and because of that, you can see it in his words and his references to what the family life would be about. You could tell there's no understanding of the sexual relationship and the woman thing going on, because what he wants is the family. He wants the family, yeah. He wants to be a father, okay? But being the husband, part of it, he doesn't know so much about that. But yeah, he wants to be the father, and he is a heterosexual man. And he does understand that being in a relationship. But he's never had sex with a woman. He's never been in a real relationship. So he has no concept or understanding how to speak about those things. And it's really clear when you hear him talk.
And I would love to. That's one of my dreams. But I couldn't right now because I'm married. I am married, but to my work.
Okay, so that's one way. You could tell it is passionate. He wants to have a family. There's the thing. But I am married to my work. But so, as you can see, he's so married to his work right there. This is 1993, and then the allegations come out. So he goes into the Lisa thing, though. So he says he's married to his work. So what forced him into the reality of getting into a relationship was that accusations, not the desire to have a family, because you can see obviously, and there's no sexual desires taking place, because that's not what's going on with Lisa. So there's just it's a form of he has to appeal to the public. He understands it was just that whole scam thing was so bad. But then even after that, there is the reality though of the kids. He does want the kids thing, and so then probably what happened was he probably wanted to adopt Lisa Marie's kids. He probably wanted to adopt them and have a family like that, and he was going to portray that as his family, but then she wouldn't go for that, and probably the actual father of the kids, there was probably something like that it didn't work out with them, and that's probably part of why the relationship with them where it didn't work is because she didn't allow Michael to become the father in society of her kids, to have that appearance. Something like that probably had happened and stuff. We'll find out more when Lisa Marie's book comes out soon here. We're going to find out a whole lot about what's going on there. But so then he goes into the Debbie Rowe thing, which anybody who knows anything, obviously, Michael's not having sex with Debbie Rowe. She's not a good-looking woman. He's just using her to make babies because she's willing to do whatever for him. She completely used it. There's obviously no sexual relationship going on. If Michael Jackson ever had sex in his life, there's no way that he gets into bed with Debbie Rowe. Let me tell you, that's not what no. With what he could have had and stuff, it's like, Jesus Christ. And you don't go from Lisa Marie's ass to Debbie Rowe's ass. I mean, no.
I'm married to my music, and it has to be that closeness in order to do the kind of work that I want to do. And so what kind of woman makes you, I know in the video, wait a minute, no, in the video we're going
to... Virgin. There's no man in the world. And this is why people keep calling him a pedophile, because they can't believe that he's a virgin. There's got to be something sexual. And this is what was in that Marlon Brando thing. Marlon asked him the same thing. Are you a virgin? Directly, there's something going on, and people are looking at it like there's a virgin thing, because you don't want to go into the kid thing. But once you're saying, once you realize there is no woman thing going on here whatsoever, and then the people are hard to accept that he's a virgin. They're hard to accept. How could he be? How could that have happened? And so that's why they start looking towards pedophile, because that's what it looks like. Unfortunately, if you see that he's not having sex with women, and if you're not willing to accept that he's a virgin, then you're probably going to think that he's a pedophile.
to see later we're premiering the world video, but you say that there's a line where you talk about being quenched. So what kind of person does that for you?
Quench my desire.
Okay, so see how the song, how when he's the music, quench my desire, like, okay, real simple, easy, boom, yeah, sexual. He'll get, like when he talks in this too about, when he talks about his crotch, he says, I'm not thinking about like I gotta go grab my crotch, but when you're doing the music, you boom, bam, and you grab it. Okay, real natural. See how natural it is, even though there's sexual connotations going on and stuff? Very natural, very comfortable. But when you ask him the reality of a woman, he's never had sex with a woman, because then that's why he's, I gotta fake it now. Let me be the sweet little Michael thing. I gotta play my little sweet Michael thing.
Yeah, quench my desire.
Yeah.
Okay, now see, there's another huge part too, that when you're telling the truth, there's a thing about when you access the memory cortex of your brain and your eyes, they go up and to the left. I'm not an expert in this, but I do have a little basic understanding. And so there's these people that are like the human lie detectors. There's a thing about when you're accessing memories, you're supposed to like look up and to the left, because you're supposed to be like accessing the memory cortex. But when you go to the right, you're accessing the different part of your brain that's like the creativity part and the imaginary part of your brain. And so when he looks to the right, instantly he's starting to create a story. He's not accessing the memory, he's creating a story. These are like subtle things that people that are real sharp, they can pick that stuff apart even further than I can. But I can see that he's doing it a lot in this, and that his eyes to me look like they're haze, so he's probably, there could be a drug thing going on to here
Well,
too.
Brooke, I've always liked her.
Okay, so Brooke, and again, Brooke, after she just asked you about Brooke, and then you couldn't answer the, so again, it's quench my desire. See how, yeah, he says, oh yeah, quench my desire. See how natural that was? But then, okay, well, who? Trying to think, and he's not going into his memory cortex, looking up to the left, he's looking over to right and trying to think, okay, how am I going to tell this story? Brooke, okay.
And I mean, when I was little, I used to stay with Diana Ross.
Okay, now, and then he goes to a thing, because he's so lost, he can't talk about relationships and quench my desire, the reality of it. There's nothing there. There is no memory and stuff. So here's a memory, and this is where people, they don't understand when I talk about the things that Michael did say with him saying Mary and Diana Ross. And he says, when I was little, I stayed with Diana Ross. And this is what happened when the Jacksons moved to California over a period of a year and a half. Michael and the Jacksons slept in a combination of Diana Ross's and Berry Gordy's house at that time for a period of a year and a half. But during that, Diana Ross would specifically take Michael out alone, and they developed this relationship because she was regaining all those lost years, because she's the mother and stuff. All that stuff had happened. But what had happened now, the reality is, you got to understand, Michael does not get told by Diana Ross until he moves to California. She doesn't tell him. But Michael has already had encounters with Diana Ross, and not only has he had encounters with Diana Ross, before that, Diana Ross is basically, when you think about like the beautiful black entertainer stars of the time, I mean, Jesus Christ, isn't Diana Ross like that? She's like all of that, you know? She sings, she dances, she's, the way she dresses, you know, she carries herself with a, you know, more of a upscale life thing, the way her attitude is. Michael Jackson, as a little kid, would have had a crush on Diana. Boy, look at that, would have been like the most beautiful woman in the world to a kid like Michael. I would think that he would have been having, like, he literally had a crush on Diana. Like, and they move in. Then think about it. She then now comes to Michael, and she's given Michael all of her attention, saying, I love you, all this stuff, I miss you, hugging on him, I want you so bad. So now there was a woman that Michael already had an attraction towards. Now this woman is giving him all the attention, taking him out, making him seem like he's the greatest, most important person in the world and stuff. And that's how it develops, where Michael then accesses her as a memory. He tries to use her in a form because there is no sex going on. So he knows there's no sex, and then she's the mother. So he knows that this also will cover up the story that she's the mother. By him saying these stories, this throws off the story that anybody finds out the truth that she's his actual mother, which that's what they don't want to do. They're not wanting to do that, you know. So that's what's going on here.
Me and my brothers, we stayed with her for years. I've never said this, I always had a crush on her. He did.
The other thing too, that when he said for years, Michael continued to live. There was Evan Ross. I heard Evan Ross state that Michael had his own room in their house. So this is Evan Ross now. He's an older and is growing up even at that point in his life. So much later, so like at this time in his life, at this time in Michael's life, wherever Diana Ross's main house would be, there was her main house, and Michael had his own room in there, stated by Evan Ross. I've heard him state that. So that's what I'm saying. So all of this stuff and all this stuff. So Michael, though, they stayed with her for years. Like he said, for years. They didn't just do the thing at the beginning. Him and Diana continued a relationship because she was the mother. Like I've heard Evan and them say that when they would go on trips and stuff, Michael would be there. Michael was there in a much more way than what people understand. But so then he says here about Diana Ross, like, I've had a crush on Diana Ross. He starts talking about that.
Yes.
But see, with the giggle, yes, same thing as like the virgin. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. See the same pattern of who he is there, the same emotion. Yes, oh yes.
I heard too, this was another one of those rumors, that you had proposed to Elizabeth Taylor at some point. Elizabeth Taylor is gorgeous, beautiful, and she still is today. Yeah. And I'm crazy about her. Yeah, but did you propose to her? I would like to have.
Would like to have. It's like, it's just so stupid, and like, it's just like these conversations are just so dumb and pathetic. That's what I'm saying. From Brooke Shields to Diana Ross to Elizabeth Taylor, it's like to talk about any form of a sexual relationship with Michael Jackson in context with any of those women is pathetic. And now we get Elizabeth Taylor, the reality of seeing her with him after this conversation. You can see it has nothing to do with a sexual relationship.
Well, Elizabeth Taylor is here. Liz, can we bring Liz in now? Liz had said that she wanted to be here to hold your hand through this. You don't look like you need your hand held. Hi, Elizabeth Taylor.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, now first of all, the first thing you got to see is when she walks over there and she says hi, you can hear her clearly. That means she's wearing a mic. Okay, that means before she came over here, they put a microphone on her, they did her hair, they did her makeup, so there's no form of any kind of surprise appearance, okay? This clearly is set up.
Have a seat, have a seat.
Thank you.
Did Michael ever propose to you?
Yeah. And I never proposed to him.
Never did. What are you...
Liz Taylor's known for being a classic beauty, and in order to have sex with her, you had to marry her. She wouldn't let you have sex with her. So she got married a bunch of times to a real famous Hollywood. And she's beautiful. There's a movie of hers called A Place in the Sun, I believe is the name of that movie. That would be a classic Liz Taylor. If you want to see a classic Liz Taylor beauty movie, she's got a few, but A Place in the Sun would be the one where you would really want to see that one.
What do you think is most misunderstood about Michael Jackson, Liz?
All the things you mentioned. he is the least weird man I've ever known.
The least weird man I've ever... The way she speaks highly up, and it's like... That's the thing is, when I say there's the Hollywood elite and these people that they get into this Hollywood elite, that's what they call right now. They talk about Hollywood elitism. And then what happens is when you get into that world, it messes with your mind. And the reason it messes with your mind is because you got a person like Michael Jackson being spoken to by Elizabeth Taylor. She's a big star, a classic beauty. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor is classic, big time. And look at the way she speaks to him. It's like, well, yeah, that'll turn you into a Hollywood elitist.
Mm-hmm. He is highly intelligent, shrewd, intuitive, understanding, sympathetic, generous to almost a fault of himself.
Uh-huh.
And he just, if he has any eccentricities, it's that he is like larger than life, and some people just can't accept that or face it or understand it. His talent on stage, why I called him the king of pop, rock, soul, music, entertainment, whatever.
Yes.
There's nobody that can come near him.
Yeah.
Nobody can dance like that, write the lyrics like that, the music, cause the kind of excitement that he does.
And what?
Yeah, so, see the way she's speaking, the main thing there, and when she says he's kind of like larger than life, and she says people don't understand that, or so that's the whole thing. When they get to that point of the elitist, they think they're larger than life because their legacy is going to live on. Okay, they know when they die, they've got this legacy, this eternal legacy, right? They're forever young. People will always, so there's this thing about these Hollywood elitists, and when they live in that culture and they think that they're better than everybody, and they separate themselves at that point, they stop being people and they become like just drugged out junkie losers. And that's what I'm saying. This is not success. When you get to this level and this stuff, it is not a success, because the whole purpose of life is to be a success as a human being. But once you allow yourself to get to this point, and when you're saying we're larger than life and the people don't understand, they can't deal with his greatness and all that stuff, it's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, yeah, you're good, you're great and all of that stuff, but you're nowhere near, there's no larger than life whatsoever. And the fact of the matter is, not only were you not larger than life, you died like a stupid scumbag junkie with a doctor leaning over you, playing with your penis. You got, your veins are all shot out because you're all doped up. So that's what I'm saying. There is no larger than life in Michael Jackson. There is a kid victimized, dealing with serious issues he could never tell the world about. And you can tell that because of those serious issues, you can tell that who the person he turned out to be, which is clearly here in 1993 in this Oprah interview, you can clearly see the person he is. He's not having sex. He doesn't know how to talk about any kind of sex with women. He keeps reverting back to the only women in his life that he could trust at all is like Brooke Shields and Diana Ross, keeps reverting back to them. And Elizabeth Taylor, look at the way that when you actually hear him speaking and with Elizabeth Taylor, look at how they speak. Oh, we're larger than life. That we're elite. We're going to live forever. We're so special. He's the least done weird man. He's best. He's this and that. That's how Michael would speak about Elizabeth Taylor. The same thing. You're so beautiful. I love you so much because she goes back to as a young child star, her movie National Velvet. Great movie. I would say recommend that to see. National Velvet. When you see her as a child star, it's great. I mean, all those movies, she's a legitimate thing. And like I said, she grew up to be beautiful. She got all kinds of movies. She's awesome, Elizabeth Taylor. But the way in which they speak to each other, do we speak to each other in like the normal people who we are in our normal days and stuff? Is there any context of like, you're so great, you're going to live forever, we're greater than larger than life? We don't live in that kind of world. But the reality is still just a human. And what happened to him? That human had emotions. Those emotions caused pain. That pain needed to be covered up, which he turned into a drug addiction, which killed him. It's pretty easy to see to me.